Hello creation, I hope you're well. I hope you're having a lovely day or evening or night, wherever you are in the world. I've not written anything down today, and I can't remember in the past whether I've mentioned what I'm about to tell you, but I'm going to dedicate this just solely to this particular story, that this what happened in my life, whilst helping another human being, because that's what we all are, aren't we? We're wonderful expressions of consciousness. It's just some don't express themselves wonderfully. Anyway, many years back, it was probably, I don't know, maybe in the 1990s. At that time, early 90s, I would have thought. I went on holiday with my then partner, and we went to one of the Canary Islands, and gorgeous weather, shirts, t-shirts and shorts sort of weather, obviously. And we got talking to this lovely couple from Scotland with his sister, I believe it was. So there was man and wife and his sister, and this gentleman had no legs. I can't remember if I've told this, please forgive me if I have done in the previous video, but it's very relevant, is this. So I actually told this tale today when I had to nip out. I say nip, there's no nipping, is there, when you've got a knee injury, but I had to go out, and I ended up telling this story to a gentleman who I had to go see. And anyway, so we're on holiday, and there's this Scottish fella, lovely guy, and I get talking to him, and he's laid on the sunbed, and he's from the knees down, he's got no legs. And it's sunny, and we're talking, and we're having a bit of a laugh, and he said, I wish I could I'd get in the pool. He said, normally I go swimming once a week. He said, and I'm missing it when he's, he said, I have someone who I go with, and they support my head while I swim. So I said, well, I'll get him. I don't mind. If you want to swim, I said, I don't mind. I'll go get my swim trunks on. I said, and I'll come and I'll support me. You just tell me what I need to do and I'll help you. And he said, would you? And I said, oh, of course I would. So I go and get my shorts on, and I come back, and the sunbed that he's on is not right up near the pool. It's a little ways away. So I said, how do you want to do this? Do you want me to carry you over? And he said, no. He said, I'll make my way over on my backside. So I said, no, don't do that. I said, stay on your sunbed. I said, and I'll just drag it closer. I'll drag it a bit closer, and then you don't have to do that. So he thanked me very much. And then I grabbed hold of this sunbed, and it didn't have any wheels on it. It was just part of the frame. It's just flat along. There's like a long rail either side, a flat piece of it that obviously just sits flush on the floor. And as I dragged it straight over my big toe, and my big toenail stood straight up. It just went like that. It stood straight up. Well, his wife and his sister were making such a din. These beautiful, wonderful Scottish people, and she's going, oh, Mary, look at his big toe. Look at what's happened. And he's going, oh my God. So I said, it's all right. So I just pushed the nail down, and I kept my finger on it. I said, I'll just go get a plaster. I'll put a plaster around it. I said, and then I'll come back. We'll take you for a swim. Oh, and they were absolutely sort of beside themselves. And the look on my partner's face, you know, it was like, she couldn't believe it. And I, it's all right. So we go back, as if we're going back to the room, and as we get round the corner, she says, "Didn't it hurt?" And I just went, "Oh." I said a few choice words. But anyway, and she said, "Oh, what are you still gonna?" I said, "Julie," I said, "it's nothing." I said, "It's a toenail that stood up." I said, "There's a bloke there with no legs. You know, of course I'm going to put a plaster around it. Of course I'm going to go take him for his swim. You know, I'm not trying to big myself up, but when you put things in perspective, it's nothing, is it? You know, a toenail stood up, and there's a guy there, poor bugger there, who's got no legs, front knees down. You know." And I think that's a good way, if you can go through life, and you can be optimistic about things. You know, it's like next month is gonna be a big operation. You know, it's a full knee replacement. But there's some poor folk somewhere who'll be having a leg taken off. You know, there's people in these war-torn countries who are having their legs removed, you know, not because they want them removing. So there's always people worse off, you know. So that's how we should look at things. When things happen to us, they're happening for a reason. And if this hadn't have happened, I wouldn't have been able to put all these videos up online. You know, look at it like that. Over 2 platforms now, there's probably about 680 videos. You know, all creative, a little bit of poetry, a little bit of, well, whatever. You know. So we've got to look at we've got to be positive in our outlook as to whatever's happening, whatever situations arise. We have to try and, you know, make the most of them, but try and learn from them, and try and be optimistic about life, you know. We have to stay positive, don't we? Because if we don't, it's a slippery slope once you get going down that, you know. And we don't want to slip down that slippery slope, do we? We don't. We want to keep climbing with those vibrations. We want to keep raising those vibes. Yeah. And attracting that good positive energy and those wonderful happenings in our lives, regardless of what other things get thrown at us. It's how we deal with them. And whatever you've got going off in your life, whatever you're dealing with, you know, please, for your own, you know, well-being, state of mind, please try and be optimistic about it. Please, for you. Anyway, that's it for today. I just wanted to share that little story with you, and I hope it helps someone, somewhere. Alright, that's it for today. Take care.